Hello, everyone. Welcome to the LTG show. My name is Sean Wilburn.
And I'm Tony Hannity's.
And we are here to talk about the technology of the week. This is the podcast for the Lazy Tech Guys website. You're welcome at any time, at any moment, anywhere from around the world where you have internet access to go to that URL and type in www.lazytechguys.com and visit the site. Check it out. We have lots of reviews, updates, and many different information about technology that we want you to hopefully check out. Now, let me give you some contact information for us. That way, so if you are listening to the show and you want to throw a question our way, throw a comment our way, just to say how wrong one of us are, then you know what? All you got to do is shoot us an email at comments@lazytechguys.com, or you can give us a little ring with the telephone with the number 707-722-5299, which, by the way, stands for 522 Lazy. Look at us. All right, so, well, we're here to talk technology, so I guess we'll start by talking about, really, how we're doing. Tony, how are you doing today, man?
Good.
Good?
We're good. I have one thing to say at the end, but we're good.
At the end?
Yeah.
All right. Hey, I noticed something. You wearing a Superman hat on.
Yes.
Yes.
I am. But I'm going to have to take the Superman hat off later on because I'm going to try to watch a little bit of Son of Batman. So.
Son of Batman.
Oh, yes.
Is that a cartoon or animated something? Or?
An animated movie.
Oh, okay, got it.
That is supposed to be pretty darn good. So if you're a Batman fan, DC fan, it's out on Blu-ray already, but I got it from Google Play Music, not music, but Google Play Videos, and yeah.
Awesome, man.
I'm excited.
I was still. How about this? So, for anyone who's watching, you know, they had that recent Man of Steel movie. I know. Did you like that movie at all, Tony?
I have yet to see it.
Okay.
That's also on my Netflix, not Netflix, but my download queue from Google.
Well, also, how about you can just call Comcast, maybe they'll give you free HBO.
I talked to the Comcast guy at Best Buy. He was very nice, and he kind of told me some under the carpet stuff, not carpet, but under the table stuff that I might be able to do, and I just felt kind of eerie hearing him say what I could do and how it could benefit me. I'm like, I can't even. I don't want to jump through hoops because I can't even.
All right, so
manage the time.
This is what we're gonna do, okay? You're going to secretly tell me what's going to happen on the chat while no one else is paying attention while we host the show. And we're going to act like we're not going to just bring this topic up again. But we secretly are going to be talking about it. No, just kidding.
Hey, I can multitask, but not that well. At least not this late at night either. So. Well,
I'll say this much. I'm definitely, as crazy as this is, and I'm going to say something that's probably going to upset a lot of people, but I say I liked the previous Superman movie more than I liked the Man of Steel.
So you're talking about Superman Returns, right?
Yeah, I actually like that one better, and that was not that good.
So let's go ahead and move on to the next topic. I did not like that movie at all.
Yeah, well, you know, it's funny, yeah. But the Man of Steel is just more of an out-of-character stuff with it. And I'll say this much. After you watch that movie, Tony, after you watch Man of Steel, go and find YouTube, and it's for everyone who's watched, who's on listening. Go to YouTube and type in everything that is wrong with Superman or Man of Steel.
I hate those YouTube videos.
No, because a lot of the points made in there were the same things I was thinking when I first watched the movie. I was like, why would they... Why is that?
They do that to Star Wars. That ruins the movie.
No, it doesn't. It's even better for movies that you like because it makes it even more funny. Well, you know,
no, because if you look at something like I love Indiana Jones, the Lost Ark, and if you think about it, if Indiana Jones wasn't there, he didn't do anything. He didn't help the situation whatsoever. If they completely removed his character, everything that happened would have still happened.
Really? I'm going to see that one.
They still opened the Ark, right? They still opened the Ark. So if he wasn't there, they would have opened it.
That's a great way to look at it. Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark. All right.
And so I wouldn't have known that if I didn't watch one of those stupid things, and I watched it, and so now it ruined the whole movie.
I can't wait to see that. Anyway, all right, so Star Wars Episode 6.
Speaking about Harrison Ford.
Star Wars Episode 6 is happening, and we have an
Episode
update
6. Episode 7, my friend.
7. And we have an update on the cast. So, Tony, this is it. We know who's in it. Who's playing Han Solo?
Well, it's still going to be Han Solo playing Han Solo. Actually, Han Solo is playing Harrison Ford as Han Solo.
All right, cool.
Yeah. No, yeah, Harrison Ford, or the original crew is coming back. So Harrison Ford, Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, Peter Mayhew, and of course the what's his name? Anthony Daniels, who does C-3PO, and Mr. Kenny Baker is coming back as the all-lovable R2-D2.
I'm sure we'll recognize him in the suit.
Yeah, and so I mentioned this before. I said that about Peter Mayhew. I think with Anthony Daniels playing C-3PO, I don't know, something with that. I don't know what it is. Like, that's all he's done. If you look at his IMDb, that's all he does. He does the voices for C-3PO, or he does like daytime talk shows of him as C-3PO. So that is his life, unfortunately. So he's typecasted to do that for the rest of his life. So if he wasn't in this movie, that I would completely say, yeah, why the hell not? Having Peter Mayhew and Kenny Baker back in the swing of things, I think we're doing it just to do it because they're, Godspeed, they're still around. But, if Kenny Baker wasn't there, I don't know exactly what he did inside of R2-D2, but I think anyone could be R2-D2. No offense, Mr. Baker. No offense, but...
You went this.
What?
You shook from left to right.
Yeah, he did that very well.
Not everybody can...
So, yeah, we know about those people. Awesome. The new people, I'm going to completely butcher his last name. John Boyega, Daisy Ridley, Adam Driver, who is on the HBO show Girls, which I've never watched, but people say, yeah, he's on that show. And I'm like, yay. I don't know who you're talking about. Oscar Isaac, Andy Serkis, who I think I've seen before, but I can't pinpoint it. Domhnall Gleeson, who's the son of some other Jackie Gleason? I don't know. And then Max von Sydow. Now, with the name as Max von Sydow, that kind of makes you think, oh, he should be a villain because the Von, but I don't know. I don't know. So, anyways, so Episode 7 is supposed to take 30 years after Jedi. So cool. We'll see what happens. We'll see if there's if Han and Leia had a kid, maybe one of these guys, and cool. I'm excited. So 2015, December 18, 2015 is the scheduled opening. So I'm gonna go.
Chewbacca.
I'm going to go to the movie theater now and wait in line.
Get on there. Come on.
Yeah.
That is awesome. I'm curious what they're going to do with that. Like, all the characters are older. It takes place 30 years after the ending of Jedi, so that gives them a reason to be a little bit more gray and wrinkled. I'm mainly talking about Harrison Ford here, really. Okay.
Yeah, for who he is, man, he's aged pretty well. It's the other two that's like, hey.
Well, maybe anyway. By the way, it was a Big Bang Theory, is what you were talking about with the Indiana Jones thing. It was a Big Bang Theory episode where they were doing the Indiana Jones is irrelevant. I guess it was a thing with Sheldon and his girlfriend.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. No, that too. But before that, I had seen something else on YouTube. Someone else pointed it out. It might not have been. It might not have been that series that points out every little thing that's wrong with the movie. Because I know there's a series that does honest trailer. There's a series that basically points out all the things that was wrong with the movie, or points out all the bloopers. Like, oh look, the dead guy is actually like breathing. You can see his you can see his chest go in and out. Like, there are a bunch of people that do those series. There was one series, or there's one person that did one for Indiana Jones and pointed out that, hey, if you completely don't put Indy in there,
nothing changes.
Nothing changes. And it's like,
I can't.
Like you're sitting there, and the realization is like, what? No, but if he, oh no, that still would have happened. But no, that still would have happened. Holy crap! I was like, ah.
They still would have got the Ark. They still would have dragged it in there. They still would have found it. They still would have opened it. They all would have still died, and it would still sat there.
Yep.
Except for the only thing that wouldn't have happened is it wouldn't have gotten moved to that empty warehouse.
You don't know that because everyone else died. So like the Allies could have come up and like, oh, that seems to be important. Let's put it in the big room.
Yeah, there you go. Good point. All right. So, all right. Now, one topic that we have been bringing up and talking about lately actually a lot, is net neutrality. The reason why is because it's been in the news a lot lately. Net neutrality is essentially a regulation that was put forth a couple of years back to pretty much keep the internet equal and make it an even playground for companies so that many companies and people could thrive on that medium. It's a new medium. Everybody should have a chance to get at it. Essentially, that's a very short, very iconic way of looking at it, but that's in a nutshell kind of what they were looking to do. So a lot of things have been, yeah, one way. A lot of things have been shaking up in regards to it. So first, there was the issue with net neutrality rulings being changed through a technicality a couple months back. That pretty much made a lot of the net neutrality rules, they couldn't enforce them, the FCC. Then, not too far after that, Netflix inks out a deal with Comcast to give them perfect special pipes for connecting the Comcast to the consumers, to give the people who are using Netflix's service a better experience on Comcast's service. Now, right off the bat, you and I, Tony and I, as well as many others, grabbed our pitchforks and we're like throwing our pitchforks at Comcast, and eventually everyone calmed down and pulled our pitchforks back a little bit. Then Verizon themselves said, hey, we are confident we can equal to a new deal. Since then, that's kind of where we left off with Verizon saying they want to do a new deal. Net neutrality supposedly is going to get reworked and fixed up, and now we have updates on all of that. First and foremost, Netflix has come to a deal with Verizon. Now Verizon's able to work out special pipes for Netflix. So if you were a fan of the deal with Comcast, you should be a fan if you use Verizon, that your experience and your experiences with Netflix should be increase and be better. So I guess if you are into that deal and you like that deal, then congratulations to that deal. If you're not for that deal, you're probably not going to be very happy. Now, this is when it gets.
I don't see why you would be against the deal, because the deal is it's essentially a peering agreement. Instead of getting a separate transit, like a separate CDN. So instead of going to level 3 to get the Netflix stuff through Verizon, you just go to Verizon. There's no more middleman.
Okay.
And you're paying less. So Netflix pays less, and in regards to traffic, it is a win-win for both of those people. It has nothing to do with net neutrality.
All right. Now, did Netflix say they're paying less?
Yeah.
Where does it say here? I didn't. I'm asking that. I did not see that. I did not look for that. Now that you bring it up, I'm like, are they paying less? Because our rates are going up. Remember?
They were paying. So they were paying right for Netflix. Yeah, the rates are going up, at least for us in the next 2 years that they said.
Mm-hmm.
So they were paying less with a similar agreement with Comcast. So you're right. They didn't say that they're paying less doing the similar deal with Verizon. And I hate to assume that they're paying less, but you do bring up a good point that in 2 years, existing users are going to have to start paying more, maybe $1 or $2 more.
So without us knowing for sure and without us getting the details, it's hard for us to say that Netflix is saving any money. We don't know if this is one of those old Comcast deals that we get when we call Comcast to try to save money on a bill. It's like, all right, I know you have a $70 bill, but how about this? For $75, we'll give you free HBO and some Showtime to try to keep you on the service and to raise your bill up just a little bit. Okay, great. Now you did that for 6 months. Now for $80, we're willing to, and you know how they always kind of edge you up and put you up. I wonder if, without us knowing the deals, I don't know if Netflix said, look, you're saving money in the long run because your experience is going to be better, but you just pay a hair bit more now. I don't know if there's anything like that involved. I don't know. Yeah, but so the second part of this goes into the fear of net neutrality. Now, the problem with net neutrality is this. So, according to what, how some of these guys, how Reed Hastings has position net neutrality as the essence of net neutrality is that all ISPs such as AT&T, Comcast do not restrict, influence, or otherwise meddle with the choices consumers make. That's essentially what he is saying net neutrality is. Now, the FCC has been working to kind of fix the definition of net neutrality and improve it, but under the current deal, they are okaying the ability for certain pipes to be created, sort of like the Netflix pipe and the Verizon pipe, for that services to go, be straightforward. the issue is people are now worried about corporate control over the net neutrality, which is over the internet, which is the sole purpose of why people were worried about this deal in the first place. So remembering how we said, now Netflix is a big player. They now have direct access to the pipes. Now, what if Amazon wants to be direct access to pipes? They have the money to be a big player. They have to do so. All the big players can have money to getting direct access to the pipes, and all the non-big players has to use the standard pipes. As you said, the whatever mode 4, connection 4 that you
Transit.
have to go through.
Going through a CDN.
Yeah, they have to go through those things. So now there's a chance, and it looks like it's a very good possibility that the larger companies out there are going to have a special freeway created. Instead of them saying, we're not going to hinder the small guys and let the big guys get the same thing, we're instead going to give the regular guys the same thing they give them and give these guys special pipes to make them faster with the special fee that they're giving us on the site. And this has got people worried about corporate control because technically only the corporations have the money to pay for that pipes. Now we're getting down to the fun part, aren't we, Tony? See, it gets you thinking now because there is kind of a point to that, right?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, yeah, yeah. Now, the FCC chairman, Tom Wheeler, has jumped in and said that they understand that they have a controversial view on net neutrality. There's been all the backlash and all that, but he has sworn more than anything else that they will not hesitate to regulate broadband like it's a utility if these proposed rules fail. Now, that changes things. By making it work like a utility, that makes it work like energy, like a PG&E bill. Makes it work like other type of services like that. He does believe that they can get an open internet by adopting the proposal, but he's saying that if that doesn't fail, then we are going to go straight utility-based style. And at that point, Comcast and AT&T, all that anti-competitive stuff was going to pretty much be going away because there's no way they'd be able to get away with that in the utility market. PG&E can't do that. Sorry, that's Pacific Gas and Electric for people out here in the West Coast. That's like they're our energy company. So I know there's like MID and other energy companies out there that around the world. So, all right. So now the FCC now has to jump in and say, look, we promise we will enforce this laws, and if this stuff doesn't work, then we'll treat it like a utility. So yeah, great. And by the way, the Tom guy is an ex, I think, Comcast guy. To top it off.
Right. Yeah, he was an ex lobbyist.
Yeah, so he's an ex Comcast lobbyist. Now he works for the FCC, and now he's swearing that oh no, we definitely will do that, but we'll allow them to have separate pipes that could potentially give corporate control over the internet, which is the whole reason why people wanted net neutrality in the first place. And then we got ugly. Yes, we were not ugly before. We were looking quite cute, actually. But now, cute out the door, put on our ugly faces. And Netflix has now been...
I had an ugly face. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. So... here's the deal. In a blog post from Netflix is now claiming that Comcast is not truly offering a transit service. It accuses Comcast of extorting content to companies and its own customers by charging twice for the same content. Which is
so
heavy allegations there, don't you think? And I'm sending you the link right now. There you go.
So basically what link? This is the same from the Verge, right?
No.
Oh, okay. What are you trying to? Oh, okay.
Yeah, so this is what Netflix is saying. So this
is directly from Netflix. Okay.
Yeah, so this is what Comcast. They even have a chart in here. This is great. So let's see here. I'm going to try to sum this up for people who are listening here. As a person at Netflix responsible for content delivery, I spent a lot of time thinking about Netflix's open communication CDN and its interconnect with ISPs. They're proud to talk about the performance, mutual beneficiary, and Netflix has agreed to pay Comcast for direct interconnection to reverse an unacceptable decline in our members' video experience on the Comcast network. These members were experiencing poor streaming quality because Comcast allowed its links to internet transit providers like Level 3, XO, Conjent, and Taito to clog up, slowing down delivery of movies and TV shows to Netflix users. For a content company such as Netflix, paying ISPs for interconnections is not the same as paying for internet transit. Transit networks like Level 3, Conjent, and all those things perform two important services. They carry traffic along long distances, and they provide access to every network on the global network. Where Netflix connects user directly to Comcast networks, Comcast is not providing either of those services that the transit networks are providing. So Comcast does not carry Netflix transit over long distances. Netflix itself is shouldering the costs and performing the transportation functions for which it used to pay transit providers. Netflix connects to Comcast locations all over the United States and has connected in many locations that Comcast desires. So Netflix is moving content long distances, not Comcast. So nor does Comcast connect Netflix to other networks. Netflix cannot reach other networks via Comcast network. So, in sum up, Comcast is not charging Netflix for a transit service. It is charging Netflix for access to its subscribers. Comcast also charges its subscribers for access to the internet providers such as Netflix. So in a way, Comcast is double dipping by getting both its subscribers and its internet content providers to pay for access along each other.
Wait, so are they saying this whole agreement that they signed
is a load of crap?
Month is a load of crap?
Is a load of crap.
So isn't Verizon doing the same thing then?
Yep, they just had to make the same deal. They just made the same deal with Verizon.
Well, then what was the point of making the same deal with Verizon? I mean, this was last week that this post went out directly from Comcast or from Netflix rather. Mm-hmm. This rant on their own Netflix blog, and then today, a week later, essentially, we come to find out. Oh yeah, Netflix is signing a similar transit deal directly with Verizon. Not Verizon Wireless, but Verizon, the DSL, the Fios company. I'm still a little confused. I'd like to reserve judgment on my opinion of this because I'm still a little bit perturbed about this because if what I said before, the whole thing between Netflix and Comcast was instead of going to Cogent, instead of going to Level 3, they said, oh, let's just work together, and essentially it would be cheaper for each other. So Netflix wasn't going to pay Level 3 anymore. They're going to pay directly to Comcast, but because they don't have to pay the middleman, they're paying less. So they knew that they're paying. And what they're saying in this blog is that they're not only having to pay to get their content on Comcast, but they're also having to do most of the work to get it all, through the long distance. Yep,
that's what they're claiming. Which means
what's long distance though?
Well, it depends. That is an internet term. I don't know. Like London, I'm wondering. Like, is long distance like if someone's in the San Francisco Bay Area, is long distance 40 miles away, 70 miles away, 150 miles away? I'm not sure. It's like you could almost figure that wherever each data center is, L.A., San Francisco. There's probably one in Seattle, one in the Portland area. They probably have them in different large cities around the United States and around the world. Probably.
Yeah. I know Tom Merritt was talking about this earlier today with Scott Johnson from the Frog Pants Network, and this wasn't part of their conversation. So I'm gonna follow up with him to see if he has any other thoughts on this, because it just makes me wonder. Then like if you're not you're big enough to not have to go through a separate CDN, you could do peer-to-peer agreements, but if the peer-to-peer agreement isn't, even though it could possibly be cheaper, was it after the fact that you realize, oh wait, we're gonna have to do all this work, and did they not realize what they were getting themselves into? And it just seems like a bad decision.
I think it's more of an issue of they just know that they're going to lose the net neutrality rule, and they're just like, screw it, let's just get this going and solve our problem. Let's just get our customers happy and try to improve our service, because for now, let's just solve this deal. I think that's what
this
this
post
is.
that came out last week is just a rant. And
No. The rant. No, the rant. So no, the rant looks like a way to clarify how. Like it's like so. The rant came from a guy who works at Netflix, who's in charge of the trend. It's actually not calling from Reed Hastings or anyone else.
No, I know
this
that.
is the internet guy who's sitting there. He probably just got upset. He's probably been reading all the blogs of people saying, "No, it's good that they did this. They just had." He's like, "That's not what we did. The reason why we did this is a whole different reason." So maybe he's just trying to get something off his chest to say something.
Well, yeah, because we were under the impression at first this was a bad thing because we all thought it was a net neutrality issue. Then it came to be that no, this has nothing to do with net neutrality. This is just CDN thing. This is not going through a separate CDN. This is just Netflix saying, oh, instead of paying Level 3 or Cogent, we're just going to pay Netflix. We're just going to pay Comcast directly. And it just seemed like a good idea because, oh, okay, they're going to save money, and Netflix and Comcast is also going to save money, and happy days. And now, another like 3-4 weeks later, this post pops up and basically saying that wasn't even what we did either. So no one got it right. I mean, I just find that hard to believe too. I don't know enough about the networks to say I was right the second time. So I just want to be right. So I know what I'm talking about when I get upset because I don't want someone turning around and saying, no, you were wrong because a Netflix engineer said all this stuff on April 24th. And like, yeah.
Well, they did. The guy accused them of clogging the networks on purpose, which is a very big clog. They're saying that's how they're slowing it down. But Comcast, of course, jumped in, has turned around, and they countered the other argument, saying that this is not happening. They're saying that these things are not true. But it is interesting, as you yourself said, they just got signed up with these deals with these companies to make these things happen. And I'm thinking they signed up these deals because they feel they're going to lose the net neutrality rule. Maybe the guys at net there are saying, you know what? With this Comcast guy in charge of the FCC, them opening up the pipes and allowing this to happen, claiming this thing, sounds like they're talking out of one part of their body and coming out of another. This is like, no, dude, this is not. You're fine. Sign the freaking deal. I'm done with this. I'm over it. Maybe they're doing that, or maybe they're just like, let's just sign it now. This is so that we are playing fair. We are fine with the rules, and then fight it on the other end to end it so that we can prove that this is a bad idea. So. I don't know. There's just so much going in here, but yeah. So once again,
but the first, I'm not disagreeing with you, Sean. I'm just really I'm just really put off by all these deals that are supposedly like even The Verge were saying future deals are now a sure bet, and all these future deals are basically Netflix saying. We're screwed either way, so we're just going to make the deal now before we get even worse screwed if we wait. Is that what they're doing?
I don't know. That's what it seems like. Either that, or they're just saying, "Look, you know what? We'll play fair. We'll happily play the system. It's part of the thing. You play the system, you play the game, while secretly trying to change it while you're in it. Maybe that's what they're doing. Who knows? Yeah. Either that, or it's hard to say. Maybe the CDN does benefit them, yet at the same time, they're still chastising Comcast for saying, "Well, if you're doing that, shouldn't you lower the rates to your other consumers?" No, you're not really lowering the rates. You're still raising them. I don't understand. And maybe they're just trying to get people on their side. Who knows?
I do want to end this topic with the question, like when they raise the rate, not a question, but something that I hope that they implement into their mobile applications, because if they do raise the rates, this would be something that would make the value of the additional $1 or $2 that much more worthwhile, is that you could cache some of the episodes or 1 or 2 movies offline. So when you go somewhere where there's no Wi-Fi connection, or you don't want to use your 4G or your data connection, you can cache like 2 or 3 episodes of Arrow or some movie, so you could watch it later on. And I mean, they could do that. They do that with music, with Spotify and all these other places. So I don't. It's media.
I'm sure there's a DCMA reason why.
I'm sure there is, but I'm sure there's another way, because if you think about it, YouTube did it. YouTube did it for their own stuff. Now, I understand it's DCMA versus YouTube. That's another kind of crazy hoo-ha that we don't even want to get into. But that would be something where I would be willing to shell out $10.99 for that. I'm like, okay, give me that plus an additional stream, and you've got how do I pay you? But we'll see.
Awesome. All right, let's take a break here. We're going to thank our sponsor, and then after that, we're going to talk about the Microsoft Nokia deal. We're going to talk a little bit about more original programming with things like Yahoo, Xbox, and the future of social media, Google Plus, and other things like that. But let's go ahead and thank our sponsor, which happens to be Audible.com. Now, if you would like to enjoy audiobooks in a new way, and we're talking about the newest releases and best-selling books, then you should go check out audibletrial.com/lazy. Yes, audibletrial.com/lazy. It is a great audiobook service, which is pretty much the best, most recent and best-selling books out there that you find from big authors, including people like the Stephen Kings and the Grishams out there in the world. You will find over 150 options to choose from, so you'll have a lot of different topics, as well, a lot of different books to choose from, as well as features that they have, like things like WhisperSync, the ability to exchange books, and quite a bit other cool features. Most important thing of all is audiobooks allow us to be more productive in our days, and it actually allows us to simply get a chance to listen to books anytime, any place. Like when you're commuting, if you're running around cleaning up the house, if you're doing chores, no problem. Throw on one of these audiobooks, listen to the latest horror novel while you go ahead and, well, get your kitchen all under control. So please go ahead and check out audible.com, audibletrial.com/lazy to sign up. Once again, audibletrial.com/lazy to sign up. Check them out. Get 30 days as a member and all that. 30 days and all that. Sorry, I see a question that pops up and I kind of just caught my eye. How you doing, Bruce? Thanks for joining us again. All right, audibletrial.com/lazy. Thank you for signing up. All right, so I watch you guys on Comcast. Are you not willing to pay to be on it? There you go. So Bruce, actually, if you want to throw this question, I'm not sure what area you live in. I happen to live in the Northern Bay Area. I'm sure you maybe do also. But out in this area, if you want internet service, you have DSL, which is AT&T, and Comcast. Comcast crushes DSL in speed.
Bruce lives in Washington State.
So you have Comcast up there too. So you also know this. Comcast is one of the major players out there too that you have to.
Sorry, Bruce, I outed you of your area. My bad. I mean Washington, D.C.
Oh, Washington, D.C. No, not D.C. Washington, D.C., that's not chart. Oh, I forgot. Well, you let us know. Anyway, there's not that many options. If you want a good internet service out in this area, you kind of have to deal with Comcast. So you're kind of stuck in this weird thing. Like, I kind of have to use Comcast if I want a good internet connection. I don't have any other choices. And now Netflix is having to use, like, if they want to appease the Bay Area, they kind of are going to go through Comcast. So Comcast has the largest foothold in the market, and now Netflix has to pay Comcast more money, and all of us still, of course, are paying Comcast access to the internet. So we kind of sort of have to. And with the Time Warner deal happening, also Comcast is in a position to pretty much be the largest and have a foothold over most of the country, minus Charter and Communications, which also to me seems to be just like Comcast.
Yeah, and basically, also Charter and Comcast struck a deal too.
Of course they did.
They essentially said that they would give up, I want to say, like 30% of their existing consumers or existing subscribers to Charter, which pushes them way up above Cox Cable. Mm-hmm. Way up above Cox Cable. Like Charter and Cox were like almost, I don't want to say neck and neck, but they were third and fourth place. Now Charter's like way third. They're still third, but it's still like way all the way up there. And they're basically Charter's able to buy all these subscribers for about $20 billion. So
it sounds like it's like a bunch of friends working. All right, how about this? I'll buy a bunch of subscribers off you so we can make you look better. That makes me look like make you look like a better competitor against me, so I can buy these guys now. So yeah,
I mean there was some sort of like dealing between Comcast and Charter before that they were gonna work together and maybe somehow get the customers from Time Warner, and then Comcast just said on their own, we're gonna buy Time Warner. Bye. See you later, Charter. And then Charter's like, well, WTF? What's going on? It's like, okay, we'll give you some customers, but you got to pay us. I'm like, well, okay, well, we need to expand our market. We're not going to expand our market unless we take your customer. So yeah, right. How much do you want? 20 billion, please. Okay, here you go.
All right, so Bruce has a follow-up question. And Bruce, by the way, after this, we kind of have to move on because we have some other topics to go on. So, and thanks for playing Devil's Advocate. Awesome. All right, so you were asking, is Comcast going to charge for your show? So what you mean if Comcast starts charging for content? They're kind of I'm not sure if that's what you mean by that, but if you're asking if Comcast wants to charge for our show, well, you know what? I'm not a Netflix, and I'm not that big of a player in that game. So I can't sit there and I'm not going to be able to say, yeah, we have the show, and I want people to pay for it or anything like that. I mean, it's a whole different ballgame. Just the entire cable business is a different thing. Maybe it'd be nice if we could set up a subscription service. Like, Tony, it'd be great if we could set up a subscription and maybe do our show one day and have people pay for it. But I'm not really into that. I kind of like doing this for fun.
Yeah, this is enjoyable.
This is enjoyable. I don't want to make money doing this. This is nah. I don't know. It's more of the issue of it seems like Comcast is putting themselves in a position of having a lot of control over the internet pipes and having almost to the point where if you want the internet, you're going to have to go to them. And I'm just worried that they're getting a little ahead of themselves and possibly making that a reality. So I'm looking at all these things and expressing an opinion, of course, and I'm very curious about how this turns out. Like, I'm with Tony into seeing exactly how the numbers end up with the Netflix deal and why Netflix is making deals with Comcast one respect and dogging them out the very next week. So there is something going on here, but it is interesting the claims they're making and gets you kind of thinking. So, but we're going to continue to revisit this as the weeks go on and as news just keeps popping up. So, but we're going to move over to Nokia and Microsoft, and it looks like they have officially closed the deal. Microsoft owns Nokia. So, Tony, what do you got?
Yeah, so essentially, China came through, and because they're the last country to say yes to the whole deal, and I remember part of that was that Microsoft would not buy one of the Nokia-owned factories in China, but then Nokia ended up closing that factory, so it might be something like, okay, we're not going to use that factory anymore, but we might use Foxconn. It's like, oh, okay, then yeah, go ahead. It might be something like that. We don't know. That's just speculation. Don't quote me on that. I'm very happy that this deal went through. I've been a Nokia fan for God knows how long. Kind of wishy-washy on and off, but ever since they went Windows, I was like, okay, cool. This is going to look really, really nice. And yeah, so the Nokia brand. Okay, we're in America now, so I'll just say Nokia, which is wrong. But the Nokia brand, the Nokia brand, it looks like Microsoft isn't going to use the Nokia brand anymore. Like, they've bought the handsets, they bought the Asha line, the Nokia X. I guess they have to call it the Nokia X, but they're not going to continue calling it the Nokia X or any handsets they're on after that have the Android operating system with the Microsoft services in there. They might still use Lumia, but the whole mobile sector is called Microsoft Mobile OI. I don't know what the OY stands for. And you could put your jokes in there. There you go. There's your joke. But that is really more of business-facing. You're not going to go to an AT&T store and say, "Oh, can I check out the new Microsoft Mobile OI phone?" Like, they're not going to call it that. Oh, please don't call it that. But this is definitely going to have like a one brand kind of mindset. So, when you look at an Xbox right away, it's a Microsoft branded device. When you look at the Surface, more and more people are realizing that, oh, that's not an Asus made device. That's not made by HP. That's Microsoft. That's Microsoft's brand, and that's what they're trying to do now with the purchase of the Nokia handset line. And so, I don't know exactly what they're going to call it on the consumer side, and we probably won't. Yeah. USA. We probably won't see any changes on the marketing side for another few months because there's so much Nokia stuff that's already out there. However, do not go back out there and say, yay, Nokia's not yay, but oh, Nokia's dead. There's no more Nokia. There's still Nokia. Nokia is still there. They still have a company. I mean, Nokia has a ton of patents in the networking of how cell phones work. Like, cell phones work because of Nokia. I mean, they are in the backbone of cell phone towers. Here maps, the whole here system that the Nokia phones and other Windows phones can use was actually devised by Nokia. Like, aside from Google and Google Maps, Nokia is the only other company that actually aggregates their own mapping data with cars that do street view and satellite stuff like that. So that's still, and Sean dropped his phone. That's still running and that's still going on. So, and I forget the name of the gentleman that is going to be in charge of that, and I can't find it in a split second. But yeah, in the next couple of months and the next couple of years, it's going to be very interesting to see what comes out of Microsoft and Microsoft Mobile, and what they are going to do to still be relevant in the market. And best believe Nokia is the largest manufacturer when it comes to selling cell phones, if you take into account every cell phone, including the flip old phone that just has a screen. I mean, the Asha brand. So they are still a huge key player, especially in the emerging markets. But to stay relevant, you have to go beyond go beyond the scope of what we have in front of us right now. So I'd like to see what other kind of integration they have, and I'm excited.
Awesome. All right. Now, for our next group of topics, we're going to kind of put these together because it kind of goes down to one large group here, and it's going to go to original programming. So it starts off with E.T. Phone Home. If you if you haven't seen that movie, I don't know where you've been. You should really just go see that movie. It's actually still worth it. It's just still a good movie. One of Spielberg's better movies, on top of Raiders of the Lost Ark and I was gonna say Crystal Skull. That's a bad joke, but oh well. He did do that movie. Remember, that's how bad it is. All right, so. So there's a documentary, it looks like, if you have not heard the urban legend about the E.T. video game from the Atari 2600. The game was so bad, it sold so poorly that it almost crashed the video game industry in 1983. And the word was that Atari trucked in millions of these games that they had printed up and created and spent money on, and threw them inside of a landfill in the middle of Arizona and dumped them off. So this supposedly happened in 83, and after all these years, it had become an urban legend. Well, it turns out it wasn't really an urban legend, because there was actually news reports that they did this. They had owned the land where they dumped all this stuff off, and they had plots of exactly where it was located. So looks like sponsored by Microsoft, which is pretty awesome. They did this, but sponsored by Microsoft and many others. They went and dug up all of that stuff, and there is awesome pictures of all this landfill and all these old and thousands of ET cartridges, among other things like Breakout, Starburst wrappers, and many other things that they found inside the landfill from historical days. Well, no, it's like 20 years ago.
Wait, so have you ever played this?
Oh, it's terrible. Oh, it's horrible.
I mean, why? Why is it bad? Like, everyone says it sucks, and I'm just like, why?
Okay. Simply put, one guy made the game. Atari put a lot of pressure on him and didn't give him any time to do so, and he didn't have time to make the game. So he made a couple things, and he pretty much had the rest of the game out. It was shipped completely incomplete. And it made no sense. You didn't know really what you were doing, and it's kind of hard to figure out what the heck's going on in the game.
So there was, like, the story mode was complete. There's no story mode?
This is Atari 2600. There was no story modes back then.
I'm just trying to, like, internalize how crap this game is, because I've played some bad games, but at least I can pinpoint, okay, well, the graphics weren't so bad.
You don't know what you're doing. It doesn't make any sense. Where are you? What is going on? How do I control this character? What the heck is this doing? Why is my head going up or down? Do I have to go here? Do I have to go there? Where is all these exits? What am I doing? What is this game?
Okay. It's giving me an aneurysm.
Yes, exactly.
That game sucks.
Yeah, I used to play it. Anyway, hang on, check it out. Hang on a sec. I remember these others on our house. Yeah, see, Bruce, you remember it too. I'm not sure what you mean by there, Hershey, but we'll talk about it later, maybe. And Bruce, I'm with you. Yeah, the games it was bad. Tony, it was bad. And yes, I had it growing up too. I was just like, put it in combat. So now Microsoft has filmed this as part of the direction of doing independent series, doing more original content, and they're bringing original content to the Xbox market or the Xbox ecosystem, which, by the way, does include Windows 8, right, Tony?
Correct.
Bingo. That's the key of all this. Good. So
Xbox video, like so anything that can play Xbox videos supposedly will be able to play Xbox originals, which is awesome because I have a lot of Xbox video platforms.
Well, it makes sense. I'm just saying it's awesome because, as we've discussed many times, with things like Netflix and other services, you need to be able to
compete. You need
to be able to get it to as many eyes as possible. If they limit it to just limiting to only Windows 8 computers is a great idea because you only have millions of people who use that. Plus Surface tablets and Xbox Ones and Xbox 360s. Great idea. There's a lot of people who will have those devices. Yeah,
I wonder if Microsoft, because Microsoft has. They have Microsoft apps on Android and iOS, like Smart Glass is on iOS and Android. I wonder if they will ever push out an Xbox video app.
If it helps, you know what? I would, if it helps them make money, and why not? Like if I was in one of those companies,
I know, right? I mean, that's they pushed out Office for iPad.
Well,
they need to make money. They need to get the eyes out there. They need to get the subscriptions for 365. Why not?
It's actually another way you could look at it. And here's an old school one that actually did happen when Apple did iTunes. iTunes has been a Mac-only program for years, and then all of a sudden they were like, we're releasing a Windows version. Why? Because we want Windows users to buy off the Mac store.
With the help of HP, which blew me away. Like the Apple iPod plus HP. I'm like, what? I couldn't believe that. I saw that at Radio Shack. I'm like, yeah, let me get that. That's crazy. They didn't do anything different. It just said HP on the box.
Awesome. All right. So all right. Cool.
Xbox originals.
Xbox originals. Now they're not the only originals. We mentioned a couple weeks ago that Yahoo was supposedly going to sign up and get some original programming going also, and guess what? They did also. So now Yahoo also announces original TV programming. So now we have Xbox original programming and Yahoo original programming.
I do want
a lot of stuff happening here.
I do want to touch on the Xbox original programming regarding the whole Atari dig site. The debut episode is going to be called Atari Game Over. So this is that. I mean, like you said, this was all part of that documentary. So look out for that. It's called Atari Game Over. So when you look at your Xbox originals, if you want to see the unveiling of this and all the other stuff that they have to talk about of Atari, there's also a Halo 2, actually, supposedly 2 Halo shows going off. One directed by, I want to say George Lucas.
Spielberg.
Sorry?
Spielberg. Spielberg is executive producing.
Okay, Spielberg and
he's executive producing, meaning that he's just putting some money into it.
Right, sure. Yep. And then somebody else is doing the other thing. So yeah,
you ain't Spielberg, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. And then there's gonna be Seth Green's live action live action / animated hybrid called The Extraordinary Believers. And then there's going to be a screen adaptation of the graphic novel called Winter World. So yeah, this is going to give a lot of competition to the likes of Netflix, who obviously has their own stuff, and Amazon, who's trying to do it, and now Yahoo.
Yeah. Now Yahoo's 2 shows that they're announcing or presenting are one's called Outer Space from the person who did Bridesmaids and
Other Space.
Other Space, not Outer Space. I apologize. Other Space from. Thank you very much. Did Bridesmaids, and I guess this is his first series from Freaks and Geeks. I actually did not watch any of those.
That show's awesome.
Yeah, I didn't watch any of those.
Get Netflix. You have Netflix. Go watch that.
Of course. All right. And then I guess the other one is going to be a show called Sin City Saints, which is going to be the director of The Office and the Varsity Blues producer. So they're going to team up together and put together something which is about a fictional basketball expansion team in Vegas.
Yeah. See that
got my interest.
I don't know which shows that Brian Gordon directed from The Office, because I know the executive producer of The Office originally was actually the guy who played Ryan. I forget what his real name is. And he took it from the BBC show. But this is definitely something I'm excited to see. The question I have is, and I also have this for the Xbox thing, is for the Xbox, is that just going to be included in your gold membership? And for Yahoo, how much is that? Did they mention anything like that?
Nothing yet.
Okay.
We just know that they're ordering up the programming. So
Okay.
I'm just curious on how the landscape is changing. Netflix has proven that original programming works out. The FTC, well, the Federal Trade, no, the one, I guess it might have been the FCC, was yelling at the broadcasters, ABC and all these cats, for not stepping up and getting the programming out and not keeping up with the times. Now Yahoo and Microsoft are jumping in, getting a lot of original programming happening. And Comcast is looking like they're spending more time worrying about the pipes than they are about the cable service.
Yeah, but at the same time,
yeah.
We have to use Comcast to get any of this stuff.
Hence why they're worried about the pipes and not the cables. Right. So it's almost like they're positioning themselves. Well, Comcast, at least it's Comcast, and I don't want to beat them down, but they are positioning themselves, saying, well, if you're not going to use our cable, you're at least going to use our pipes.
Right.
Yeah. Now all right. Now, do you think all this is going to matter? Like, do you think for Yahoo or Xbox, do you think all this stuff is really going to add value in the case for either of these two companies, or is this going to be more of the same Me Too kind of stuff? I mean, or do you foresee that, or do you want to sit back and think about it for a little bit longer? Or?
I mean, we're naming names of notable directors, producers, and I know you had that little bit of joke. He's just giving money and he's just going to sit back, and I'm sure, Spielberg, as much as he's made mistakes of like, well, the Crystal Skulls.
Thank you. He directed the Crystal Skull.
I'm hoping that he's learned from that, and he's not just going to put his name on something and then walk away. Especially this is a huge risk.
Yes.
Now, the Halo series, as much as a fun game it was, there are Halo shows on Netflix right now. I don't know if you're aware of this, that I've seen. They're basically like YouTube shows that they push to Netflix, with all due respect, which is not a bad thing. It's just, they're mid-range budget films, and they did pretty good, for a low budget, mid-range, low budget cast and crew. But now that you got Spielberg on that, there's a lot of expectation. Just like there's a lot of expectation for J.J. Abrams to blow it out of the water with Star Trek VII. So whether he's producing it or directing it, the fact that his name is on it means a lot. We've got this guy, like I said, Brian Gordon, who has directed a number of episodes of The Office. Now, I hope that they're not quoting him The Office and he's only directed like one show. I hope he knows that his humor and his style is gonna come over too, but we'll see. So yeah, I'm gonna sit back and relax a little bit before I make my judgment. But part of that judgment comes into play of how much is it gonna cost? Is there gonna be any kind of free period? And when exactly are we gonna start being able to see these shows, and what other methods? I know Yahoo said that they're gonna do it on the Roku and the Apple TV, but are there gonna be any other methods? So yeah. We'll see.
All right, Tony, quick question. Since you do the live hangouts, and I just sent it to you in the things here, can you privately record a live chat, or can you do a live chat through Google Hangouts but set it to private where only one person or nobody views it except for you recording it?
Yes, actually. I mean, the way that we do our hangouts, and I know this question is related to what Hersey is asking.
Yes.
The way that I create these Hangouts, Hersey, is I set it as a Google Hangout on air. So the fact that it's specifically an on-air Hangout, it is going to be public to everybody in the world. Now, however, if you can create a Hangout with an individual that it does not get publicized anywhere, but at the same time, it will not be recorded. If you want it to be recorded, you need to be aware that that it is public, but when you click on the button to start the Hangout, you can't exactly make it private, but you can make it so when you click on the Start Now button, it doesn't share it to your network.
Okay.
That's to my understanding of how Hangouts work. That is the only way that you would be able to do that. So if you're okay with not recording, just start a Hangout with anybody. So you can download the Hangout client if you got a PC. I don't know if you have it on Mac, but you can download the client. Ironically, I'm sure there's a bunch of videos on YouTube on how to do it too. But it is a way that you can teach children. I believe you said it's your children math live. So if you're trying to record something so they can watch it after the fact, you might have to be okay with the terms that it's going to be recorded and it's going to be searchable unless you go into your YouTube channel
and make it private
or make it unlisted.
So he could do it, but if the live Hangout was live when he recorded initially and then changed it to private afterward, then that'll be it. But during the initial recording process, it's going to be live and it's going to be visible. Okay.
And also be aware that this whole Q&A thing, Hersey, you don't have to have that on. So when you're talking privately to your children on how to do math and everything, the only people that matter that have questions are your children. So you don't have to have the Q&A on. So even if somebody does jump on and sees that you're teaching math, they can't enter into the conversation. They can't join the live Hangout through the Q&A or through video and say, hello, I have math questions too.
Awesome. So I was going to say one other thing. If you're on a Mac, if the easiest way of doing it, I would say is simply just record it through the iMovie or iDVD, whatever records video. Same thing they have on the Windows Movie Maker or whatever they're calling it nowadays. And then simply just take it, upload it to YouTube, make it a private video, and then share that. That's another way you can do it if you just want to do a quick video. So,
but I see what he's saying. Like if he's trying to do live tutoring,
I would say just Hangouts and then just Hangouts and do it that way and to record it. Interesting though. All right, well, we'll probably look into that, and we might visit that in the future. If we find a better way of doing that, we might bring this up. I see your thing here, and actually, I'll just like you real quick here. I'll follow you real fast, and then, we'll follow up with you there. All right, so, dude.
Seattle, what up? Sorry.
Yeah, so this is really Seattle. So we have Seattle, Washington, and Washington, D.C. Look at this. All right, Google Plus boss has departed.
Bye-bye, Vic.
Yeah, so did you know
we hardly knew ye. Dude, Vic Gundotra started Google I.O.
Oh, well, that guy's pretty important.
Gundotra, it was like one of the top-level executives within Google. So it's like I think the reason why a lot of people are making such a big deal about this departure is because we've seen a number of changes within Google just in the past year. One of the top developers within Android left the Android. I think he left Google altogether because he couldn't believe ASUS wasn't going to give up the source code for the Nexus 7. He's like, then what the hell am I here for? Andy Rubin left Android to work with real Androids. What's his name? Oh, Hugo Barra, who was a huge advocate proponent to Android, is now working with Xiaomi directly as their global ambassador. He's not with Google anymore. He's still with Android, but he's working with an OEM and an ODM. So it's like, well, who's left? Oh, we've got Vic Gundotra. No, I'm leaving too. Bye. Like, what's going on? Where's everybody going? So we still don't have any definitive answer as to where Vic is going, but we're still kind of, as we say in France, en lavage. Like wow, I pronounced that really badly right now. We're still in the fog, basically. Sean, don't facepalm me.
Dude, my French is terrible. I have none.
Okay, well, I could have just winged it, and you would have went, wow, Tony's awesome.
Probably would have, and probably most of the people listening to this.
Don lavage. No, that's a cow. Okay, so, no, we're not in a cow. I have to look it up. Anyways, so, don't eyeball roll me. Don't. Okay, so, there is a new guy taking over Google Plus. So Google Plus, just because the head of Google Plus is leaving, doesn't mean you're like, oh, screw it, let's pull the plug on Google Plus. Like, obviously Google Plus is still there because we're using it right now. And the new head of Google Plus is God, I forget his name, but I know he's a Niner fan. That was something that they put into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I definitely want to know who it is
If
now.
any of us, Besbry, I know his last name is Besbry, B-E-S Brie, like the cheese. Okay, yeah,
David
Dave
Bresbis.
Besbry, yeah. So he is now the vice president of engineering for Google Plus. So he is the man with the plan. He's been on the team, and that's the thing. Like, as a good leader, you're only as good as your team, right? I mean, isn't that the adage? So he has a huge team behind him working with Google Plus throughout all the trials and tribulations that they've been going through for the past however many years that Google Plus has been around. Google Plus is not perfect, but it is growing. But some people do say, is it growing in real numbers? Like, is there real activity on Google Plus, or is Google counting comments on YouTube as actual activity? Kind of like how is an Android activation any activation? Like if I deactivate my Android, like if I wipe it and then reactivate, do you count that, or do you only count the first time an IMEI gets activated?
Where's that tinfoil hat of mine? Hang on.
Yeah, so that's a little appropriate for that, Sean. You're right about that. So, but we're talking about this in the social form. What does this mean for Google Plus? What does this mean for social media as a whole?
Well, now here, Rafet, to add to that, now this is why it brings it in here. So, I guess a couple of developers have now noticed that they are starting to see the words "sign in with Google" instead of signing with Google Plus starting to pop up right after his departure.
I did not notice that.
Yeah, well, only a couple developers are starting to slowly but surely see it. And it's all developer side. It's not on our side. But you're starting to see sign in with Google.
Oh, I see this. See, like that little thing, I'm not. Yeah. See, I don't look at things like that until someone shows it to me, and now I'm going to look at it everywhere. Like, aha, there it is.
So you do have to factor in. So the boss of Google Plus leaves. They got a new person running it, and now it says. Now you see the thing of signing Google. Now the problem with this is now people are speculating that Google Plus could be ending, could be the whole entire thing with social media is going haywire. I think Twitter said that they still have hundreds of millions of active users, but it's still less than what it was last time. So they're showing a small decline. And of course, Facebook has bought Instagram, and now they have that, and WhatsApp. So now they're kind of spreading their wings and buying all these apps to make sure they get a lot of users and keep up with the people that are using it. And it's working too. But you do got to factor in. What do you think about social media? Where do you think we're going to be heading with this? And most important of all, what do you think Google's going to do? Like, do you think they're going to drop this experiment of Google Plus, which, personally I think will be bad because I kind of like it. But or do you think this is just like another quick rebranding and just moving forward and everybody's just making a lot of hoo-ha and nothing?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say Google Plus is kind of like the nerddom, the nerd network, but it is to a certain degree. I mean, like the people that you and I follow, a lot of the people are similar. But our non-techie friends and family still castigate Google Plus. Like they still think Google Plus is a ghost town, and the problem is so do advertisers. So do a lot of other people. And if there's not going to be anything backing it, there becomes a less and less reason and a hook to go to Google Plus. Now, I do really like the whole Google Plus communities because it's essentially a forum. And like I've told you before, I don't do forums, but for whatever reason, the Google Plus community for like Android and Windows Phone and Microsoft stuff, like it just makes sense to me. I think it's just the way visually it's laid out. And so yeah, like you, I do like the Google Plus platform, and that's the thing. I believe they're really trying to lean on it more as a platform instead of a social place. So it's going to become more showing of like a profile of like you, like everything that you've done, and so less interaction with other people. I don't know. Like I was talking with another analyst about this, and they said it's going to be less. Although Google, because Google they don't do social. They don't get it. They didn't get it with Wave. They didn't get it with Buzz, and they're barely getting it with Google Plus. Yeah. But places like Facebook, they eat, sleep, bleed, and throw up social. That's all they do, and they do make mistakes. They're not perfect, but they understand the social outcome and the social ramifications of certain things. And so there are just some things that Google just they can't compete with, or if they do it a little too late, and then they get hit by like, oh, you're just copying what Facebook is doing, or you're copying what Twitter is doing.
Well, here's the thing. Like, one thing that Google Plus does have that they could use is if they get people using it and interacting with it in some way, they can just find out what they are into, like, and sell them advertising dollars. And you know what? They are doing that already. I can tell automatically my ads are going to what my Google Plus pages are starting to go out. I'm seeing more Golden State Warriors things in there. I'm seeing more 49er things in there because these are the things I tend to follow on that. And then, of course, a lot of independent music artist things. Yeah. Those three things are popping up all the time, and I'm looking for them on Google Plus. Plus, at the same time, I personally think I like Google Plus for the simple reason that's instead of it's like Facebook to me just seems to be the place you hang out when you want to hang out with your friends and family. Google Plus is the place where you want to hang out with strangers who want to talk about a similar subject that you want to talk about. So it seems like to me that's kind of how I treat each one of them. It's like, I just want to talk about DAT machines today. Let me go to the DAT machine community, and there's a bunch of cats who just for some reason only want to talk about DAT machines.
So do you think the general populace is okay with splitting up their social like networks to do that?
The general populace, social networks popularity dictates on what's popular. I mean, it's like teenagers things. What gets popular at one time goes up and down, up and down. So in a grand scheme of things, I believe one network is going to be the big one. There'll probably be two others that will not be as big, and maybe one day one of those other ones will suddenly rise up and become the biggest thing ever. It's just by generations change, each one different. It changes. That's kind of how I see it. So I think Facebook is just kind of they're just the big dogs right now because they're kind of in control and they kind of have that right now.
I mean, Facebook's already said that they're going to focus on mobile. Mobile is the way to go, and they're going to essentially be what they said a kind of a what's it called? A melting pot for startups to create applications, but under the Facebook monikers. Okay, and so just imagine they didn't acquire Instagram, they didn't acquire WhatsApp. All of them started within Facebook and then grew from that. So that's what they want to do and have separate applications. So it's going to be like blah 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 brought to you by Facebook, and it's going to be a separate app because well, just because it seems that that's one way that their users are okay with downloading a separate app. Like they're seeing more and more people use the Facebook Messenger app instead of use the Facebook Messenger chat within the Facebook app. So they're saying, we'll just separate it up anyways, and we'll just force people out and we'll just force people to download the Messenger app. I myself hate the Messenger app. I don't know why.
I can't.
I just don't want to download a separate app.
I don't like the Pages Manager either, too. That one irritates me.
Oh yeah, please.
Why is that even existing?
That's so stupid. I get notifications on both Pages and the Facebook the Facebook application. It just irks me so much. And I've got more pages than this. I've got 2 other pages that I manage. I'm like, please don't do this.
So I think Facebook will be smart as long as they keep the ecosystem and keep it like a good experience. But I think splitting it up and doing all these things are what drives people to other services. Like those mobile things you're talking about drive me insane. So if Facebook, with their when you just said, they're focusing on mobile, I'm like, yeah, but with what they've done on mobile already, mainly the 2 main things, which is Messenger and Pages app, why would I want to bother? Like, fix that. Like, I look at the Google Plus app, and that app is wonderful. I can switch between my 2 different accounts instantly. Just pick this one, pick this one. Look at that. Pick this, pick this. It's so well done, better than Google Plus done on the web page. Yet the Facebook experience is the complete opposite. The mobile experience is just not really that hot. Yet the online experience is what you'd expect. It's like, okay, this makes sense. I could see it all there. I don't know. I think it's hard to say which. I don't know. It is. Oh God, you're right. That mobile Facebook's just kind of upset me now. I just want to kick it down a set of stairs. I'm kidding. Anyway, I don't. Yeah, but
if Google, so let me bring it back. Let me bring it home here. Okay. So if Google Plus were to go away, because a lot of people are still thinking, okay, even though Besbury is the head of Google Plus now, he could screw everything up, completely go against Vic's idea, and people just boycott and say, no, I'm not using Google Plus anymore.
Mm-hmm.
What is that? Does Facebook just? I mean, as a Google user, is there going to be a place where we still have like our Google identity? Are we still gonna have like a Google profile, kind of like a like a LinkedIn profile? I don't know exactly what I'm trying to say, but this, I mean, if anything, Google Plus, we already knew Google Plus wasn't just for social; it was just another method for them to sell us ads. So if they take away Google Plus, we put up everything that we're interested in Google Plus, and so it's easier for them to just farm that and harvest that so they can resell us ads. That would be a very bad idea for them to end it. But if they did, would you miss it? Do you think the people that are on Google Plus would be like okay with it, or would someplace like Facebook say, okay, it looked like you guys like the whole community thing. It looked like you guys like the whole Hangouts thing with video that you can record with. We're gonna do that too, or?
Yeah, it's hard to say, dude. I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, here's the thing, like, and this is what I was kind of thinking before. We're making all these assumptions about what could possibly happen, given that a new player doesn't step in the game and suddenly kicks everybody's butt. Because all this could be a possibility. Like if Google Plus goes under and Facebook jumps in, they're considered the biggest player. That's given that someone else, a new player that we never thought of, doesn't step up and suddenly shake it all up, just a new disruptive force, and that new disruptive force could destroy Google and Facebook. It could help Google or help Facebook, or who knows what could happen, or it could just crush them both. It's hard to say. I'm just curious to see what they do with Google. Like, I really want them to keep it going, and there's no reason to change it. I can see why they'll get rid of the Google Plus sign-in and how they'll make your account consistent amongst more places. But maybe they'll just try to make a Google Plus more enticing, and I don't know. Hopefully they'll keep it around. I like it. We'll see what happens. But go on, Don. You have one more thing you want to do before we finish this up?
Oh no, after this.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Cool. Yeah. But anyway, that's it. All right. Whew. Oh, that was a long day. All right. Tony, do you have something you want to share with us here?
Yeah, right. So it's one last thing. It's not really a topic of news or anything, but so I guess two things. I'm finishing up my Vita, which stands for Video Every Day for the month of April, and it's kind of like a video diary, video journal. Mm-hmm. And the last couple of days have been kind of somber, and I want to kind of go full circle and mention on here, because he had a huge impact to Lazy Tech Guys as well. A dear friend of mine was in a car accident, I believe Friday morning or Saturday morning, like 12 o'clock, and didn't make it. And he's worked with me directly on if you've ever seen any iPhone related review, it was his iPhone that I was using. And in fact, before I heard the accident, this case that I told you about last week, Sean, I told him that I need you to come over so I can review this case with you, and he was so excited to actually try it out, because he always told me he needed he needed tweezers on the go. So yeah, so the reason why I'm bringing this up is because he did have an impact to Lazy Tech Guys and LTG, and Andrew Lee is actually his roommate, who's another editor for Lazy Tech Guys, and we're obviously very distraught, and we are going to continue pushing forward on the website, but just want to say, our thoughts are out there, and if you have anything that you want to say to him, his name is Eric Sopang. You can leave us a comment. You can call us. You can hit us up on Facebook, Twitter. We'll give you all the links and everything at the end of the show. But for those that have already done that, thank you very much. Your love is always very appreciated, and we do really appreciate everything. And it's really nice to see that he was recognized to even just someone that's looking at a case review and has seen him on a recurring basis. So that's pretty much it. I didn't want to be such a downer and start with this at the beginning of the episode, but at the same time, I don't want to end this as a downer. So that's all.
Eric, thank you for everything you've given, and for your family. We're up, hearts go out. But Tony, I'm sure you've said more.
Oh yeah.
All right, so with that, we're going to go ahead and end today's show. I'd like to thank everyone for hanging out, throwing out a lot of comments. I hope we did our best to answer your Q&A. And if these things come up again, trust me, the net neutrality one will come up again many times in the future until this entire thing is sorted out. Until then, let's go ahead and wrap this show up. So if you would like to get in contact with us, you can email us at comments@lazytechguys.com, or you can give us a call at area code 707-722-5299. That also stands for 722-LAZY. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+, if you look up Lazy Tech Guys, and our YouTube account is Lazy Tech TV. That's the one you want to subscribe to and look out for and all that good stuff.
All Bruce. Right. Thanks, Bruce.
Thanks, Bruce. All right. Thank you again for everyone. Thank you again for hanging out. Oh, also, audibletrial.com/lazy. Sign up. Check it out. You'll enjoy it. All right. Once again, thank you, everybody, for hanging out. We'll be back next week with some more fun news as I stall and wait for the audio to slowly kick in. But here it comes right now.
Let's go.
See you guys later. We're out. See you next week. Bye.
Stop. What is this?
The flock of seagulls is gone.
Flock of seagulls. Bye, guys.